Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Well, here is a photo of, I'm assuming this is your daughter. There's a mask at the bottom of her chin. She's standing in an archway surrounded by these beautiful... I love that sometimes weeks pass and then guests are like, what was the photo again? Yeah. So she's standing in an archway surrounded by beautiful flowers. Mm-hmm. She looks damn cool. Like she's standing there with her arms kind of crossed. She's wearing a blue t-shirt. Her hair is this beautiful, it's catching the light really beautifully. There's this nice sort of marble work, art, like sort of sculpture work on this column. It's very sculpted, the column. It looks like maybe she's in a gallery, but there are also lots of flowers though, like a sculpture garden or something. Beautiful building. What is this?
Yeah. Okay, this is the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. It's literally my favorite museum, pretty much anywhere. It was a woman who collected, with her own money, like incredible pieces of artwork from all around the world. I think in the late 1800s or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And then she built this building to house it all. And then when she died, she said specifically, nothing can be changed. This is the way it must be for all time.
Oh, wow.
Like the way everything's arranged. It's really cool. You can, check it out sometime on the website or whatever. But so we go there when we can. We have relatives in Boston, so sometimes we'll stop there for a couple hours and, just kind of be in that space, like in that courtyard. And it's got a lot of sort of Roman antiquarian stuff, like columns and, Medusa tiles. And my daughter loves all the Greek myth stuff.
Nice.
She's a huge fan of Percy Jackson books and whatnot. And
just like my daughter, too.
Oh, that's great. That's great. They're going to have a Disney series soon in a couple of years. They're working on it.
Nice.
But anyway, so we're huge fans. And so anytime we can go to a museum that sort of has any Greek stuff, I'll bring her and we'll enjoy looking at that together. Mm-hmm. And art is very important in our family in general. My husband's an art teacher and artist. So,
nice.
It's really, something that we try to make a big part of our, whenever we travel somewhere, especially somewhere new or just to our favorite places like this museum, we want to kind of absorb and be surrounded a little bit by that beauty.
Okay. So. Yes. Again, another great photo. Really beautiful. The light's perfect. The space is amazing. It's also a beautiful portrait of... Okay, so I've mentioned this before, and let's not dwell on it because we'll spare the listener, but I was, in my 20s, run over by a car, and I had severe head trauma. And
oh, my goodness.
We could talk about this some other time, but... I remember I had amnesia and all this stuff and very severe head trauma. And I remember getting my memory back. And I can remember being cognitively way behind, like essentially like a 10-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And so, I had to learn how to walk. I had to relearn how to read, like all these things. And so when I see my daughter, like I'm projecting my daughter onto your daughter standing in this space, arms crossed, appreciating a museum space, right? And so I'm trying to project myself into your head, looking at her as an older adult female, looking at a young developing female, and you're this professional, this clinician who wrote a clinician's guide. So I've just put I've put this soup of words into your head. and this is what my questions are like, I say, okay, now take it away. So from there, what synthesis can you create?
Okay. Well, because, this book is about sexual health, which you're right. That is an important piece of life, like dental health, like your physical health.
I love it.
Your mental health. I want this to be a common phrase, or me and other sex educators and sex therapists, not just me, but like all sex educators everywhere would like for this to be a common phrase.
Yep.
And so, I want to also capture my daughter as she's moving through her development and becoming a young person. And, her gender identity will remain as a female, I'm guessing, because she's kind of hasn't expressed anything differently, but she could end up non-binary, who knows? And I'm would be happy with that as well. Mm-hmm. But, as a young person, who appears female, then I want to celebrate her going to these spaces and existing in these spaces as her own person with her own mind already. I mean, she had her own mind by the time she was born,
for sure,
1 month early,
for
she's
sure.
very assertive already.
Yep. Yep.
But, just kind of keep celebrating that and allowing that to exist in the world. So in kind of really beautiful or sort of incredible spaces.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good synthesis.
As a parent, sharing an insight, a professional insight to another parent, like what can you do to encourage sexual health in another human, be it your child or be it a friend?
Well, now there's a lot of wonderful, at least books for kids out there that weren't there when I was growing up. That's for sure. Like I was lucky if I could go to the encyclopedia and find, ovary or something in it, So, but there's tons of fantastic sex positive kids books. I have, so on my own personal website, which I don't know if you'll be able to put that somewhere. It has.
What is your website?
Oh, okay. Stephanie Baird. So just the full name, Stephanie Baird, LMHC. Those are my credentials.
Yeah.
LMHC.wordpress.com.
Okay. The link will be included for sure in the description. Yeah.
Great. So I write a monthly sex health column for a local newspaper, and I post all those in my blog. And so I have a couple going back on sex education for kids and healthy sexual development. And so in those columns, there's books that are mentioned that people can get for their kids or read to their kids. They can enroll their kids in, sort of sex positive, medical based sex education. Like I volunteer for teaching. Our program is called OWL, Our Whole Lives, and it's through our local Unitarian church that I belong to as well, the Unitarian Universalist congregation. So it's incredibly sex positive, medically based. It does mention abstinence and whatnot, but it also mentions actual anatomy, pleasure, masturbation, all those things. So right now we have a cohort of about 20 kids going through the middle school series, which is like one Saturday a month for 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours, one Saturday a month. So they come for 4 hours and, learn all kinds of stuff and, practice putting condoms on bananas or whatever, things like that. So that's just having the books around, if there is some kind of a class available locally, being able to send kids through that. For the adults, the OWL program has developed an adult sex education curriculum, a young adult sex education curriculum, and an older adult sex education curriculum, because we have all these older adult baby boomers. So anybody can look up in their state to see where that's being taught. You don't have to belong to that church. You can just, kind of put your name in there and sign up. Like, I'd like to take this class next time you offer it. And then there are definitely books for adults out there. Just, on the bookshelves at Barnes and Nobles. Come As You Are is my favorite book that I recommend to a lot of, at least cis women out there. Came out in 2015. But I have, in this professional book, chapter 11 it's a huge list of just all the resources out there.
Nice.
Which I think people can buy it chapter by chapter. So if somebody was just like, I want to just get that chapter, that PDF, so I can have the list of all the stuff, they could probably do that.
Right. I guess I'm a bit of a strange child. When I was 17, was the first time I went to visit a sexual therapist. It wasn't for me. It's just because my girlfriend, the woman the young woman I'd lost my virginity to, I thought, hey, maybe we would benefit from meeting with a sexual therapist. And so the therapist was just like, "You're my youngest client ever. This is your idea." I was like, "Yeah, let's come here. Let's have a conversation."
Wow, that's pretty unusual. Yeah.
I'm just, like I said, it's good that we're talking. I love this. Now, sex happens between our ears, and
yes.
And that whole sort of maturation and growth and evolution and development, how can we uplift either a young, medium, older individual to understand either self-acceptance, self-care, exploring EMDR therapy and sexual health? Because you will be, I think, maybe the sixth or seventh mental health professional I've had on the podcast so far. So, because I think it's really important. So how about we end on a either call to action or something to kind of let people feel uplifted in terms of, and as I say this, I'm looking at this photo of this absolutely delightful child, like your daughter, looking so cool. Like she's looking really, just the photo is fantastic. So how can we make this real for somebody listening?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say there's...
it's up to you.
Yeah. There's no easy answer, but being open to learning, looking for books, reading some of the books, looking at watching sex positive TV shows and movies. So I have a whole list of that,
nice.
in this book. Yeah. So even like the show Sex Education, out of United Kingdom is an amazing sex positive show. Like I can't speak more highly enough of that show. So just even some of that can help people bring it into their conversation more and talk to friends and, maybe check out a book or whatever. And, just kind of understanding and knowing we all deserve empowered sexual health.
Yep.
Like every human deserves sexual pleasure, like whether by themselves or with a consenting adult partner,
Yeah.
They deserve knowing how to have that for themselves, how to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve whatever medical assistance they need in the terms of pregnancy prevention or STI prevention or whatever. So there's a bunch of sort of values in the beginning of the book from the World Association of Sexual Health. It's been around a long time, actually, and they've issued things like Declaration of Sexual Rights, Declaration of Sexual Pleasure. I feel like if just everybody got that in their mailbox at some point in time, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
There's a declaration about this and that you deserve this, because so many people, I have the obvious trauma clients who come in, I was assaulted or abused or whatever, but then there's all these sort of more nuanced situations, turns out, as we really go in depth of not getting their sexual needs met or not even understanding that they're a sexual being because of the erotophobia in the household or the culture or the religion or whatever. So yeah, I would just love everyone to get those sexual rights, and to get some resource list and tools and strategies, and just like, have you looked at your sexual health in the last 6 months? Like, have you gone to the dentist in the last 6 months?
Stephanie, you're like I'm just going to say what's popping in my head. And it's just like, you're like a first responder of that mental area of, preventative medicine or whatever you want to call it. But so you landed in this as somebody trying to address the critical care.
Yes.
And now it's more about, maintenance and flourishing. It's already been an hour.
Yeah, but this is great though. I really appreciate it. I wish I knew more about you. So at some point I'll have to figure out where your biography is or whatever,
I think listen to a few of the episodes, and my friends know that I wouldn't say narcissistic, but I have a strong ego for sure. So
well, that's okay. That's fine.
Stephanie, I thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for contacting me. It was it felt so kind of like, wow, this is so interesting. What a cool thing.
I think the work you're doing, I think your book, your parenting, your animal care, it's all good. It's all, and there's something really like kind of cheeky about you, which I really love, like.
So much. I think that's probably exactly it, but nobody's used that word because I don't have any British friends around here. So.
It's so cheeky. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes.